What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and this is episode 10 of building a $20 sneaker collection. And in today's episode, we go to Vegas. Nice. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this is your first time watching the channel or checking out the $20 sneaker collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell so you can see more videos just like this. And also make sure to check out the entire series through the playlist linked in the description below. Seriously, it will really help you out if you start from the beginning of the series. I definitely recommend it, and of course there will be a link at the top of the screen. But if this is your first time and you refuse to start from the beginning of the playlist, which again, recommended, in this series we started out with just a $20 bill and we're slowly building our way up to a crazy sneaker collection filled with grails, retros, and hopefully at the end of the series a pair of Nike mags. And last time I checked, Nike mags in a size 9, which is my size, were selling for around $15,000. And you might be saying to yourself, that's crazy, that's insane, there's no way that could happen. But let me tell you, after the last 10 episodes, we've started to build up a pretty decent sneaker fund, and I definitely think it's possible. So the way this series has worked up to this point is we started with just a $20 bill, we bought some sneakers at thrift stores, cleaned them up, and started reselling them, and just repeating that process over and over and over again. And at the end of the last episode, the sneaker fund was up to $457.51, with like 5 other pairs of sneakers still in stock in the eBay store, so we had potential to make even more. And let me tell you, before I even got on the plane to go to Vegas, we sold even more sneakers, and now the sneaker fund is up to an insane number. So to fill you guys in on where we're at monetarily, the first sneaker that we sold before we went to Vegas was a pair of ZX 4000 4Ds. So I had bought this pair of 4D sneakers on my trip to New York a couple weeks ago for just $30. And we ended up selling this pair of Adidas 4Ds for a little bit less than I would have liked, but they did sell quickly. And the price that we were able to get was $50. So after fees and shipping, we were able to add $44.43 into the sneaker collection fund, which is about a profit of $24. Definitely not bad, but honestly not exactly what I was expecting. After that, we sold the Nike React Element 55s, which we had picked up a week earlier for just $20 in incredible condition for $47. And after all was said and done and the sneakers were shipped out, we were able to add $39.99 back into the sneaker fund. And then the final shoe that we sold before we left was that pair of Pharrells that we'd been sitting on for weeks. Thank God, it's so good to get that sneaker out of my house. So we picked up that pair of Pharrell tennis shoes weeks ago for $20 from Plato's Closet, and we were able to sell them for $27. So a profit, but not much of a profit. But after fees and shipping, we were only able to add $23.53 back into the sneaker fund. And I know that's a terrible profit, but at the end of the day, at least it's a profit and not a loss. I was really expecting to not sell these shoes for anything or really sell them at all, and we were able to sell them for something at least and just get them out of here. So after all of that, we have finally broken the $500 sneaker collection fund barrier. I did not expect to break it, but we finally did it, and the amount that we have in the sneaker fund is $565.44, which means we are taking $565 to Vegas, so we can buy sneakers for retail, we can buy sneakers for resale, and we can buy sneakers at thrift stores. So hopefully we find something good. I'm insanely excited. I have no idea what to expect when it comes to Vegas thrifting and Vegas retail. I know what to expect when it comes to Vegas resale because I gotta check out JC's store, but other than that, I have no clue. Oh, and of course, before we dive into the series, I want to give a huge thank you to the person who inspired this series, Retro Rick. And I know I've shouted him out in every episode of this series, but he's the person who inspired it. He's the reason that this series is happening. And if you have not checked out his series, the $10 game collection, what are you doing? But with all that being said, let's fly out to Vegas. So starting things off, I should probably give you some background as to why me and my friend Osman are in Vegas. The reason for this trip is the Agenda Show, which is essentially a show for brands to show off what they make so that retailers can buy their things. And we obviously went because we have a brand called Apothecary, which is a sock brand. If you guys haven't heard of us before, make sure to check us out on Instagram at Apothecary. But TLDR, our socks are awesome, we're so excited about them, and we wanted to show them to as many people as possible. So that's the reason for the trip. Now on to some thrifting. So the first place that we hit was called Dog Junkies Thrift in like northwest Las Vegas. And what's cool about this place is that their whole sort of reason for being is to help out dogs. So they have a kennel, which actually allows you to go in and adopt dogs if you'd like, and all the proceeds from the sales of the thrift store go to helping those dogs and other dogs in need. And because of that, there was a lot of dog stuff available. In fact, more dog stuff than I think I've ever seen in one place other than a PetSmart. And, while that's great, and while I have a dog, and I think a lot of this stuff would be great for my own personal dog, it wasn't great for sneaker shopping. There were some shoes available, not really any sneakers, nothing that I was really excited about. There was this pair of New Balances, which seemed fine, and for $4, that is not a bad price. However, I don't think I could even get that on eBay for this pair of sneakers, so I decided to leave it. I really wish they had more stuff here because the pricing was incredible on all of these shoes, but there was nothing that I thought could sell. I mean, there was this pair of Bobs, which is like the Skechers knockoff of Tom's, but that was it. Not really a huge amount there, just some sneakers that I think people had in their closet that they just didn't want anymore. Okay, so we hit the first thrift store in Vegas, and I don't really know anything about Vegas, so I didn't realize that we were about like 20-30 minutes off the strip, which is like significantly farther than I think either of us meant to go. Osman was telling me to not pick something this far, and I didn't listen, and it was a mistake, and after going, we realized that there wasn't even any shoes there. So we're gonna hit up another one that's about, I don't know, half a mile away. Hopefully it has something. If not, we'll just Uber some other places. But so far, no luck. So after walking for like 30 minutes in the wrong direction in 105-degree weather, we decided to say, forget that one. We're gonna go to a different thrift store and take an Uber, which I think was the right call. The next thrift store that we hit up was called Dinosaurs and Roses, which is a thrift store a lot closer to the strip. Not right on the strip, but pretty close to it. And let me just say, for like a mom and pop thrift store, this place was huge. It had everything. I mean, they had city bikes. I'm not sure exactly how that got in the store, but they had a lot of pairs of shoes, which was really, really good to see, especially since we'd been waiting 2 hours to find anything good. They also had a giant Nerf selection, which is really cool to see. They had a lot of different options as far as Nerf warfare goes. Their women's section was also pretty expansive. They had a lot of heels. I feel like I should learn about heels because I'm sure there's some resale there. I just don't know anything about them. Then we stumbled across this sign saying that everything in the store was 50% off. So obviously I knew I had to pick up something. Now, unfortunately, it's because they lost their lease, but it does mean that everything in the store is 50% off. So I went over to the men's section. They had a lot of different pairs of shoes. Unfortunately, again, not a huge amount of sneakers, but a lot of shoes. So the first pair that I found was a pair of what seemed to be a version of Adidas Superstars, except not exactly Adidas Superstars. They just looked very similar. And also this pair of New Balances, which looked a lot like Nike Monarchs. I think it might actually be the same pair that we found in that previous thrift store. And then I found this pair of Champion somethings. They kind of look like Jordan 1s. Interesting looking shoe, but definitely not something that had any resale value. I did also find a couple different pairs of hiking shoes, which may have some resale value. I'm not sure. I should really look into it a little bit more. And then I ran into this pair of cleats, which looked pretty nice. Pretty clean, not something I know much about though, so I'm just gonna leave them for now. I did find this pair of Nike React sneakers, or sneakers that looked like Nike React, because I don't believe the midsole actually was React. It was just pressed with that sort of React texture to look like React, although I think it's a more budget model. Then we found the first promising shoe of the day, which was this red pair of Air Force Ones. It's not a standard pair of Air Force Ones. I'm not exactly sure what kind of Air Force One it is. Osman was saying that it's like the light version. I've never actually heard of that version, so who knows, but I'll check the SKU when we finally get home and find out exactly what pair this is. So we pretty much walked the wrong direction when we were going to the last thrift store. So we gave up, we decided to Uber to the next one, and we actually did find this pair of Air Force Ones. I don't know exactly what kind it is. It was listed at $20, but everything inside this store is currently 50% off. So I was able to get it for 10, and I felt like for 10 bucks, you can't really go wrong, which is not bad. And I mean, 10 bucks in the grand scheme of things when you got about $500, I'm not trying to brag, but you know, 500 bucks. It's not a huge chunk of money. So I figured it was worth it. I just got to try and jam it in the luggage. So next we're gonna hit up a Ross and then hopefully another thrift store and try and find something worthwhile. But I'll keep you guys posted.
So we walked 3 miles in 112 degrees.
It's only a mile, but it was 108. As you guys can see, we hit up Ross next, and the first thing I saw when I walked in the store was this Aaliyah shirt, which was actually really fire. We then went back to the sneaker wall, and unfortunately there wasn't a lot available. It was definitely some slim pickings. Usually with Ross, it's hit and miss. In fact, as far as I know, with Ross, for me, it's always been misses. But they did have this pair of Skechers somethings. I'm not sure what these are, but the midsole on this shoe is actually kind of fire. It was a weird combination of the midsole and the upper, though, I'm not gonna lie. I did find this pair of Adidas basketball shoes, I would assume. It looks looks like a pair of Hardens, but I'm not 100% sure. Then I found this pair of Reeboks in all white, which I really liked. I've actually reviewed a version of this shoe before. I believe it was the Brain Dead collaboration, and this white pair looked really good, but unfortunately there's not a lot of resale for this shoe, and for the price they were asking, it wasn't worth it. Right after, I found another pair of Reeboks in this really interesting sort of like futuristic dad shoe look. It came in black with blues and reds. It was actually a nice looking shoe, but I don't think it's a model I've ever heard of, and because of that, I don't think it's gonna sell. Then we went over to the kids section, and I found this pair of Continental 80s. We find these at every store, and one thing I really liked about the shoe was that the leather quality actually looked nicer than a standard pair of Continental 80s, which I was surprised by. Osman found this pair of camo slippers, which actually looked pretty nice, and he also really liked them, but it wasn't a shoe that I think either of us really felt like we needed, so we decided to leave it. Okay, so we hit up Ross, and there was nothing. Nothing at all. But we're gonna hit up Opportunity Thrift, which is like just around the corner. Hopefully there's something good there. We should have rented a car, I think is what we've learned.
Still 110 degrees.
Yes, it's ridiculously hot. And this one's pretty close. It's like literally around the corner versus the mile that we just walked, but man, renting a car would have been the move. The final thrift store that we hit was Opportunity Village, which was actually a pretty large thrift store, and I was actually pretty impressed with it. Their sneaker wall was actually pretty filled in both the men's and women's section. They had a lot of everything. Now, unfortunately, not a lot of great stuff, but a lot of selection. The first shoe that I found was this pair of New Balance cleats. I have no idea what kind of sneaker this is, but it looks really nice regardless. There was also this pair of And Ones, which I saw at a Goodwill a couple weeks ago in Philly, which I thought was kind of interesting. There was also this pair of Under Armour basketball shoes, and then Osman pointed out this pair of sneakers that neither of us knew what it was. I don't have any idea what the sneaker could be, so let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know if I missed out on a good deal with that shoe. I have no idea. There was a pair of LeBrons in kid sizes, and also a really nice pair of New Balances. I believe these were the 991s. However, the problem with these shoes was that on one side they were extremely yellowed, and on the other side they weren't, so it didn't match. Osman actually found this pair of Lunar Kolhans, which is kind of a collaboration between Nike with their Lunar midsoles and Kolhan uppers. And what's interesting about these shoes is that these are like really cool sort of hype beastie dress shoes. Now, unfortunately, both of these shoes were insanely large. The blue pair was a size 14, and the brown pair was a size 16, but they were both in excellent condition, and I would have grabbed them if they were in a better size. Then the surprise of the day came though with a pair of Gucci slides at a thrift store. Now, unfortunately, they were priced at the regular price of Gucci slides, which is $200, and so because of that, they were not worth the price. And although I found these at a thrift store, they were not thrift priced. Okay, so we just finished at Opportunity Thrift. There wasn't too much, as you guys saw. There was actually some Gucci slides, but they were listed for $200, which is way too much. But if they were listed for less, I would have grabbed them. Is my face actually in frame or not so much?
Yeah, but you think they hurt?
Of course, being in Vegas, I had to hit up Urban Necessities, which is a store owned by my friend JC Lopez. He just opened up a new location in Caesars Palace, and I've got to say, this store is absolutely insane. It's huge, and I'm just showing you guys the bottom floor here. Above this area, there's actually a barbershop and a tattoo shop up on that second floor. And there's also an ice cream parlor. This place is absolutely insane, and the sneaker selection is also pretty insane as well. They also had Yeezy cookies, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't grab one, but they were cool. Some of the notable finds were these giant Cause figures selling for like $200,000, which is insane. They had an absolutely insane sneaker wall, and the cool thing about this sneaker wall is that you can scan the shoe or the barcode on the shoe, and it tells you all the sizes available and the prices, which I thought was really cool. They had this sort of Grails case, which had tons of different dunks that I don't even know half of the names of. I'm not really a collector of vinyl toys, but as an industrial designer, I'm definitely into the design of them. I thought this wall was super cool as well. Just down the hallway from JC's store, there was a Nike store, which was huge. It was absolutely insane how large this store was. So of course we had to check it out. So the men's section had an okay selection of GRs. You had a bunch of LeBrons in a couple different styles. There was also some other basketball sneakers like Kyrie's and KD's. Then I found this pair of PG5s in the PS5 collaboration colorway, white and blue. Super cool looking sneaker. I probably should have picked it up because I have a PS5, favorite console currently, and it's a great looking pair of sneakers. I love all the little PlayStation hits throughout the shoe, and I think for $120 or $110, I don't remember the price, it's a pretty good deal. Of course, I had to check out the Jordan wall, which currently had a bunch of Zions and some Jordan mids. There were actually some Jordan mid colorways that I thought were pretty clean, like this sort of salmon white and black colorway, a really nice looking pair of sneakers, but I don't think there's any resale value, so I decided to hold off on this because I didn't want it for my own personal collection. There was also this pair of Westbrooks, which I thought the colorway of was pretty clean. Then right next to the basketball wall, you had the lifestyle wall, and of course there was some pretty decent stuff over there as well. You had some Air Maxes, you had some Blazers. I love this Blazer colorway. This white and green is super, super clean. It's definitely a shoe that I've considered picking up many times, but I just haven't pulled the trigger. If I find it at an outlet for a discounted price, I probably will grab it. Then I found this new pair of sneakers. I forget what the name of this shoe is. I should have looked it up, but it kind of reminds me of the Elements, and it's a really, really nice looking pair of shoes. It has some sort of off-white and semi-translucent vibes. I definitely dig it. And then you had this pair of Fly Eases, which actually allow you to sort of push down in the back of the sneaker and slide your foot in. Of course, I had to check out the jersey wall, and they had some Jackson jersey. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback of all time, don't at me. But then my favorite part of the store was this Jordan history wall, which is always so fun to see in Jordan flagship stores. So that was the last sneaker store that we went to in Vegas, but unfortunately, that did not end the Vegas trip. And the reason for that is because although we thought we were leaving that night, we weren't. See, what happened was we had originally booked a direct flight from Las Vegas to Philadelphia months ago for this event. And up until recently, we still thought we were going to have a direct flight. But a couple weeks ago, American Airlines emailed us and said, hey, guess what? You're not getting a direct flight anymore, even though you paid for it. We're going to stop you over in Phoenix, and then you're going to go on to Philadelphia. And honestly, yeah, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. I know airlines are short-staffed. I get it. It's fine. But what happened was, on Friday night, we flew the hour from Las Vegas to Phoenix, found out there was a giant storm at the Phoenix airport, and we literally had to turn around because we were running out of gas circling. So we flew back to Las Vegas. Now my thought is, first of all, if we had gone direct, this would have never happened. We would have flown around the storm. And second of all, don't airlines have weather radars? Like, didn't they know there was going to be a storm in Phoenix in like 45 minutes to an hour? Like, why did they even fly us out there? And third of all, because it was a weather-related incident, they didn't cover our hotels or anything. So we literally had to find a hotel on the strip at 2 a.m., which sucked. Let me tell you, man, it was a wild way to end the trip. And unfortunately, because we didn't know exactly when our next flight would be, I wasn't able to thrift anymore. And that honestly sucks because I feel like in the amount of time that we went thrifting, I just didn't go to the right places and I didn't find the right stores. And because of that, it just wasn't that great a week when it comes to picking up sneakers. So definitely disappointed with how this week's episode went as far as sneaker pickups. I feel like we could have done better if we had known we had more time. Also, it definitely sucks to hear an airline pilot get on the thing and say, hey, we got 30 minutes left of fuel. We're going to fly back to Las Vegas. It's an hour flight. Good luck, everybody. That was ridiculous. Interestingly enough, and maybe airline pilots who are watching this can let me know in the comment section down below, but somehow we were able to make it back to Las Vegas in 25 minutes when it took us an hour to get out. So, where's that speed been? I don't know. It was a crazy trip, but the good news is in the time between when we landed, which was like 12 hours ago, till now, we were actually able to sell a couple more pairs of sneakers. So the first pair of sneakers that we managed to be able to sell was the pair of Nike Air Huaraches that we picked up for 20 bucks. And what's crazy is that we were able to sell this pair of sneakers for $46. In fact, someone bought the shoe at asking price. So I think after all the fees and shipping costs, we ended up with an exactly even $40 that we were able to add back into the sneaker collection fund, which means that we actually doubled our investment in a week, which is crazy, making this one of the best deals that we've had so far. And then the final pair of sneakers which we ended up selling, which actually clears out our entire inventory of sneakers other than the Air Forces which we just bought, were the Nike React Infinity runs that we picked up in New York for $18. Actually, it was $17.99, so not 18 bucks. We sold the Infinity runs for an offer for $30, and after fees and shipping, we were able to add $25.21 back into the sneaker fund. So in a crazy turn of events, although we didn't pick up any sneakers in Las Vegas other than the Air Force Ones, which should actually have a pretty high profit margin, we did actually make a ton of money on this trip, albeit not exactly from the trip. So after all was said and done, we now have $620.65 in our sneaker fund and a pair of Air Force Ones in our inventory. That is by far the most that we've ever had in the sneaker collection fund, and I think honestly, I'm gonna buy a pair of sneakers next episode. A pair of sneakers for the collection. A pair that's probably going for retail or maybe even more. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what we get. I feel like we're at a turning point because we need to start spending more and grabbing sneakers in other ways. I need to be doing a lot more Play-Doh shopping. I need to be a lot more selective about the sneakers that I buy and buy a lot of pairs that have high profit margins, and also just enjoy it and buy some pairs of sneakers for the collection as well. So stay tuned. The next couple episodes are going to be a lot of fun. But with that, we pretty much wrap up the entire episode for today. I would love to know your thoughts on this series and how the series is going so far. I think moving forward, I'm going to stop focusing so much on on just purely thrifting, and I think I'm going to do a lot more Facebook Marketplace shopping. I think I'm going to buy a lot more sneakers for retail. And one thing that you guys have been asking for a lot is to add more sneakers to the collection, because currently we don't have any sneakers in the collection. I do have to say that I think my biggest regret for the series so far is selling that pair of Air Jordan 4 Flu Games. I know we made a bunch of money on it, but we got it for such an insane price. It was in my size and in great condition. I should have kept it and started the sneaker collection with that shoe, because that was a crazy find. So definitely regret doing that. I won't be doing that moving forward. I'm going to be a lot more selective about the shoes that I sell. But that's my thoughts. That's how I'm going to progress. And next week we're going to Atlantic City. So hopefully we'll fare better over there. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.